Excellent.
There we go.
YouTube Studio says excellent.
Woohoo! So we're good to go.
I think so.
Awesome. Okay. That's so great that you brought your laptops with you. So thank you very much, everybody that decided to show up. My name is Andrew. I am usually a keynote speaker and also a facilitator at heart. So what I decided to do was do a presentation so I can stay structured on this, because otherwise with my ADHD brain, I just go like all over the place and I'm going, ooh, let me do this. Ooh, something nice and shiny. So I've done a presentation and I just wanted to sort of start off by saying that the motivation behind it, a little bit of a disclaimer as I take you through the presentation. I am not a developer. I am not anybody that is, I just have an interest in tech and like probably a morbid obsession with tech. There we go. Okay, so the other motivation for doing this, I've got my back to the camera. The other motivation for doing this is that I like to understand how things work. And I had people that developed my website, and then when they handed it over, they did do a handover video for me, which was great. But I then had to go into WordPress and Elementor. And Elementor for me was probably one of the worst things that I've ever worked with in my life. Just trying to change something took hours. It was ridiculous. So I then decided, having just moved back to Cape Town, I've been away for about 18 years. And I got back, I'm starting my business, and I thought to myself, I want to build something myself that I can edit and things like that. And I want to be able to understand the inner workings so that I can build from it, sort of scale onto it. But the most important part was I didn't want to spend money on multiple apps, multiple things. So the first sort of experience that I had with vibe coding was with Google AI Studio, right? And I built the front end of a speaking app that helps people get better at speaking and communicating, and it's really, really cool. But then I was like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do the back end? I have no idea how that works. And I sort of just left it. And then when I took the website handover, I thought my experience with Elementor was just horrific. I thought, let me play around with things. I didn't go straight to my website. I actually started with a small little one-use web app. And that's how I've sort of scaled from now. So what I'll take you through is just how I built it, the motivation behind it, and also all of the mistakes that I made along the way. And then I'll obviously show you my laptop. But essentially, I didn't want to spend money. I wanted to use what I have. And what I have was a Claude Max account, a Vercel account, a GitHub account, and a Google Workspace for my business.
What's a Claude Max account?
So Claude Max is the 5 times or the 20 times usage on top of Pro.
Okay.
Because Claude Cowork chows tokens, and so does Claude Design.
Sorry, how many dollars? $100 a month.
Yeah, $100 for 5 times, and then it's $200 for the 20 times.
Okay.
I was, and then I was like, I'm not hitting any usage. I'm not hitting the full usage at any time. So I thought, let me scale down to the 5 times. Exactly, right? And so when I scaled down to the 5 times, it's fine. I just avoid Fable at this point. Even though Fable's great, I just avoided. Exactly, and I was resetting, but I never once, since I've stopped using Fable, I haven't once reached my usage limit. So I've sort of just stuck with Opus 4.8, Max, particularly when I'm doing website stuff. So yes, build it yourself. So how I run my business from a Google Sheet, a Claude subscription, and sheer stubbornness, because I don't have the finances to sort of outsource it right now. And when I scale, obviously I'd need more servers or programs that are built for this sort of stuff. But I shall take you through the presentation, and then I'll end up on the website and show you what I've done. So with going through this, I've actually built this presentation. Let me just get the mouse on the right page. I've actually built this presentation on Claude Design. So one of the things that we did when I launched my brand here in this space a couple of weeks ago was I built a presentation mode into Claude Design. But what happened, I figured, when Claude Design goes into presenter mode, I think it's with the caching. If I leave it on a slide for too long, it froze. And then it was hard to start up, obviously with my laptop's memory and things like that. So you learn from the mistakes as you go. What I've done is I've done screenshots to sort of save time instead of going into the app script. But if anybody that's here wants to see a little bit more of the inner workings, then I can show you on my laptop afterwards. I'll be more than happy to. So the whole thing was everything you're about to see runs on this, which is essentially a Google Sheet, right? So I've got a Google Sheet over here. Obviously, I've blanked out the names of people because it's information. But the Google Sheet started as a place for me to capture my leads. So when somebody goes onto the website, they fill in their information, I can come here and it's all in one space. And with ADHD, I need structure and I need one place where I can go and find things. So that's when I started the Google Sheet, and everything started initially with a back and forth on Claude Chat, because I had no idea what I was doing, right? So Claude Chat, tell me, do this, go there, try this, right? So if you look at the tabs at the bottom, you can't really see them over there, but it started off with 2 or 3 tabs, which you can see is contact and scores. Now scores is, in one of the apps which I'll show you that I built, is an asterisk game, because my brand is around the yellow asterisks. And as part of capturing information, the asterisk game, when you play it, you catch topics. And once you catch the 3rd topic, it says go and read or go and watch a video of when Andrew speaks of this. So I can see how people are scoring and I can see what they're interested in. So that helps me elaborate more on topics that people are enjoying. And I'll show you that in a little bit as well. And as things have progressed, I've got now my media kit on my website. When I work with or collaborate with businesses or clients, they tend to ask me for, oh, we need a picture, or we need a bio, or we need something. So what I've built into the website as well is a place where people can go and request access, and they then get access to a full media kit. So it's approved photos, it's approved bios, it's a usage policy of how to introduce me when I go on stage, things like that, which is now those next tabs. Then we've got the RIA logs. The RIA is the latest thing that I've been working on. That's my rejection identity assessment. So one of the biggest projects I've ever worked on in my life is the book that I'm currently writing, which is called The Secret Life of Rejection, and I'll get into that in a bit. Then we've got pre-flight, then the Andrew On podcast, what I built into the website as well, and I'll show you the back end too, but what I've built into the website is I'm automating as much as I possibly can. So when I have a podcast guest that says, yes, I'm going to come onto the podcast, essentially I go into my admin on my podcast console that's built into my website. I write their name in there and then everything takes over. The email chain starts and then they're invited to a guest hub, which is also built into the website, where they go through what we're going to talk about. They get creative direction in the guest hub, and they get the location. They see other podcasts. They see other guests that are coming up. So it's just a real full immersion. All right. And then the others are events. One of the things that I built into the website as well is my events console. So I don't want to pay people like Cricket or Ticketmaster or things like that when I can try and build it myself. And I built to the point where I built the scannable boarding cards for the event, because it was called From Passenger to Pilot. So when people were coming in, I only did it for like 2 people because I was running around, but I built it so that I could scan the QR code on boarding codes and it would mark things in the app, which would then trigger on the next couple of events. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then,
The onboarding stuff.
yes.
So that's, you haven't connected anything else like Notion or anything. That's just
Zero.
going through.
Zero. It's running through my Google Sheet and then app scripts. And app scripts is where all the coding is. It's where Google App Script. So what you generally do is from this sheet, so there's 2 ways that I found out while I was doing it, and I'll get into it now as well, but you can write an app script for a particular sheet, or you can write an app script that stands on its own. Right? And I've got both, which I'll show you now as well. Okay, so we just minimize this before we go into the next one. So essentially what I did was Google Workspace, Claude Max, and Vercel, plus 1 domain. So everything filters off from my website. Even my email GIF signature, my email banner is loaded onto my website. Obviously, it's not a clickable link that people can go to. If you had to go into inspect on Google Chrome or any browser, you'd probably be able to find it and sort of make your way to it. But it's an image that everybody gets on an email, so I'm not too worried about that. What I learned really, really quickly was I obviously needed some things gated where passwords were required, and then that's how I built sort of like passwords to sign into things. And then also I learned along the way, this was all self-taught, I didn't watch any videos, it was just honestly back and forth with Claude in chat, and then eventually it's migrated to Claude Cowork, and I'll show you now exactly what I've migrated.
What did you use for like a user authentication thing, like a sign up? Right?
No, so I just did the usual username and password just for my admin console initially, but then what I learned was passwords should never ever go into your repo, right? So now passwords are built into my app scripts as properties. So it's never in the code.
So you see it.
I see it, no one else does. In the code refers to a property, gets instructed to refer to a property, and then it double checks that.
Because we used Clerk cloud.com for when we did Alfred.
Awesome. That's probably the next step for me. There's nothing that's available on the website that people can go and get information, because obviously everything is captured and protected by my Google Workspace and my Google Sheet, right? So yes, from a security perspective, but also from a copyright perspective, one of the things on my rejection identity assessment is if I had to put the questions onto my repo, then people could essentially just go and export all the questions and how it's mapped out and the answers and things. So my questions are built into my app script as well, which is protected by my Google account. So that was one of the things. And we were talking about it earlier about I'm going to do a full security run of the website to see, right, where are the shortfalls and things like that. So the 5 builds that I have done, and this is the sort of flow that I'll go through, is onset. So everything in my brand, you'll hear the word on a lot. So Andrew on, onset, reaction, all of that stuff is where I play to my brand. So onset was what I built for myself. The toolbox that I use, reaction, is when you're in training, a lot of the time, at the end of a training session, we'll put up a QR code where you go to like a type form or like a SurveyMonkey to rate the trainer. And I thought that's a real opportunity to sell your business even more. So people are used to scanning a QR code. Why can't I take them to a web app where they interact with me a little bit more, but also, and give me feedback, obviously, that I can send to a client. But there's opportunities to go to my website. There's opportunities to get to know me. What about the science of what I'm talking about? And I'll get into reaction now, yeah. And then website and the engine room, which is obviously AppScript, Cowork, SLOR, which is the secret life of rejection, and then a bit of reflection. So onset started as the audience of one. I was in the gym and I was like, I hate any gym app. It just doesn't have what I need. And I wanted a place where I could sort of launch my day, because I generally gym in the morning. So I built Onset, and I just want to see once I go into the folder, because I did a little screen recording of Onset and what I built into it. That was a lot, because that was the first time I was trying to build something. So it was just me in chat with GitHub open and Claude Code open, and then I'd get the prompt and go to Claude Code, and then Claude Code would code, and then I'd get the PR on GitHub and Vercel, and then I'd push and then I'd preview. It was very manual. And so, but that was a great experience for me, because then I figured out, okay, how much time is all of this going to take? Because I obviously want to get efficient more and more as I go on. At this point, when I was building Onset, I had no idea what I was going to take on my website. So built Onset, I just want to see if it's going to come up in the video. Give me a second. Other side, there we go. Yeah. Can I go into the folder here with the pictures there? Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. There's a video. Oh, I didn't send you the video, so that's okay. Let me go down. I'll show you the videos a little bit later. But Onset initially became just checking my reps. And then I was like, how far can I push this? So what I ended up doing with Onset was obviously also in a Google Sheet, right? I was able to, what I wanted to do, I always work backwards. So I've got an end goal in mind, and then I'll reverse engineer. And so I wanted to know when I am subbing equipment, so if there's a piece of equipment that is not available, I'll be able to mark it in my app. What the app is tracking is what time and which gym I'm at, and after a period of time, if I'm subbing that equipment at a certain time all the time, don't go to the gym at that time. Go to the gym at a more efficient time when more equipment is available. Then I needed to focus on my tempo when I'm busy doing sets. And what I decided to do was I built in a metronome into when I say start set, and it expands and goes close like this. And this is how I learned about behavior, CSS on a website. So I could just keep up with my breathing as the metronome sort of expanded and then decompressed back into the set. Then I also built, because obviously I needed to be a bit cheeky, was take a gym selfie and then upload it. And it was obviously plugged into my Claude, and it would read me like a drag queen would on my gym outfit, right? So it would be funny, something a bit of a laugh, but I was just really experimenting. If I look back at the app now, I'll show you guys afterwards, but if I look back at the app now, one of the things that has really stood out is huge entry point. Like before I even start my workout, it's like 14 clicks. And I'm like, that's not shippable. So I'm going to go back and sort of change it up and things like that. But I even implemented the app will reflect on your day. You know, what are you feeling? How deep do you want to go? Things like that. So that was Onset. And Onset was essentially a experiment on myself. So It was a gym app for exactly one user, greets me with a quote and a song, runs the workout, timers and all, and then it reads my meal photos and health screenshots. So I was able to upload my Apple Health into that, and then obviously Claude would plug it into the sheet, and obviously watch for trends, watch for, hey, how am I doing? Am I hitting my goals? Just sort of keep me responsible. I then built something into it. Like if I'm standing talking to somebody, it will do a pop-up going, hey, it's not rest day, you're in the gym. Like just cheeky things. And I was honestly, that was just my experimentation. So for one app, for one person, I ended up doing 90 commits onto GitHub, and I did it in about 15 days through 14 phases. So when I was still a full-time leadership consultant for Biz Group in the UAE, our tech director, Matt, one of the things that he taught me really early on is when we're building things, essentially you want to test phase by phase, because if something breaks later on and you've built it all together, you can't really isolate it and you've got to tear down and build up from there again. Very, very impossible and difficult for somebody with the patience of about 2 seconds, right? But I pushed and I tested it in phases, and then I'd try my best to sort of like, okay, cool. I'm just going to say I tested it so that Claude can move on and give me the next commit for Claude Code, but that's essentially what I did. And it came out, it was beautiful, it works, but obviously it needs a little bit of evolution around that. But just in terms of a blunder, for somebody that's not a website developer or whatever, is I fixed the same bug 3 times before I understood it. And phase 10 does not exist, but even though nobody knows what phase 10 is. So I had all these phases in my head when I started, and then once I started, very typical of me, I get an idea to add on to this, and then I'll get carried down that pathway, right? And so I don't know where phase 10 is, but you know, we'll be there somewhere at some point, okay? I'm gonna have to show you the videos afterwards, but I just wanna see if I've got any other pictures that I just wanna bring up now for onset. So essentially, again, back into the app script, what you'll see over there, I've blanked out, but the green and blue is a function that's built into the actual sheet, so it only works from that sheet. And then the blue is an app script that stands on its own. Now, AppScript works for me because obviously it's part of Google Workspace. I haven't paid anything extra for it. Claude superbly codes for AppScript. So I've built in all my automations in there as well. Things like when somebody books a ticket for an event, they get that automated email. An AppScript that I have built in there as well is it builds a PDF like you would get from Quicket or Ticketmaster. When you get the email, you've got the body of the email, which is an HTML email, and then it's the PDF with your boarding card or your ticket with your QR code.
Amazing.
So once somebody books, it writes the line in my Google Sheet, and then it generates the PDF with all of their details.
Did you run that for the first time at the event you did?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were no errors?
No errors. No errors at all. So it worked beautifully. And one of the things as well that I did though, particularly for the event side, and I'll show you how it works on the website, but for the event side, I knew that there was going to be a lot of functions that I require for the media end of the website. So I separated it into a different app script so that I could go and isolate where something could potentially go wrong. Because when I initially started the reaction and onset build, my first 2 web apps, they were all sitting on one script. On one sheet with a lot of functions, and that just immediately freaked me out because I was like, okay, what if it's like one line that goes off? And you can copy your entire code and paste it into Claude, but I want to essentially avoid that, right? So, and then I've got app scripts over there, particularly for my book writing. I've built an entire book structure around word count. I've built a dashboard. It's quite intense of, mapping how my writing is going. But essentially, I've got app scripts and sheets with functions that help me stay on top of everything. This is essentially the server, if you want to call it that, right? This is what's serving it. Obviously, as I scale and business gets bigger, the website reading into AppScript to verify something to come back does take a few seconds longer than you would on these like massive sites that are built for it. So eventually I do know once I scale, website gets bigger or things like that, I'll have to move on to something that is more efficient, essentially, right?
Google Script's amazing. I just used it for the first time when I built that little Claude, the little World Cup.
Yes. Yeah.
Rotary thing. I didn't even know that it existed.
Exactly. So it's really, 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 really cool. Then, so build for yourself. So the lesson from this was to build for yourself first. It's cheap stakes that avoid expensive lessons, and it's kind of like discounted because the only real thing that you're losing is time because you're back and forth. But it's been an incredible learning experience for me. So then the words that used to scare me for anybody that's on the stream or in the room, obviously not you guys, but I had no idea what repo was, what's a commit, what's GitHub, what's a push request or a pull request. Like all of this stuff is foreign to me. I've now learned it. And we were chatting last night where what's really, really cool is now that I've built a lot of HTML automated emails that sort of come up, you sort of recognize little bits because you've got the end picture in mind, and then you read the code that it's used to build in apps, and you're like, that makes sense. That's like, and usually when I used to see code, I'd be like, oh my God, what the hell is this? No, don't tell me to fix one line, rewrite the whole code so that I can copy and paste for vibe coding, okay? So for anybody that doesn't know, the repo is the project folder that remembers everything. So essentially it's the brain of whatever website or domain you're on, okay? So just to let everybody know, my website was hosted on Bluehost. I haven't done the full migration onto Vercel because all of my automated emails are obviously built into the, what is it called? In a host where you do, it's the, no, it's the D, it's something D, and it looks for something that refreshes like every 4 hours, and it's got the @ sign. Does anybody know? DNS. Yes, DNS, that's it. So all of my DNS stuff is still on Bluehost. It's working for now. That's the most important thing. But the website is pushed through Vercel. But the repo essentially is the brain of where everything sits. And how I've built that into Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork now has full access to that, just that repo folder, so that whenever I'm doing anything for the website, Claude Cowork would go there first. Then a commit is obviously when Claude builds something, like behavior changes to parts of my website, it will come up on, it will write new folders or files within the repo, and then that will pop up on my GitHub desktop. So then I just have to actually physically push them myself because Claude Cowork isn't able to do that. So it's not fully automated. Exactly, which is essentially what I would like. I don't want anything to sort of run on my own, particularly when I'm building. Once something's built, I'm fine for Claude Cowork to run it, which it does. But when it comes to GitHub, it codes, writes the files, and then GitHub waits for me to click push. I suppose I don't have much things around, or I'm not literate, I would say, in agents. And I'm also quite skeptical about certain agents. Like with my Claude, what essentially I do is I don't download any skills from GitHub. I don't download anything that anybody's developed on GitHub. I try and trust Anthropic as much as possible, and then I've built my own skills back and forth. AppScript for now works for me, and an agent that helps me with certain tasks or tries to make things a little bit more efficient. My days are so different that I can't tell an agent to do something every single day because it's not something I do every single day, right? And because I'm so particular with how I want things to look from an aesthetic perspective on the website, I would rather be in charge of clicking push to website for Vercel to then develop it and deploy it. Then we've got the PR, and then the next one is Vercel, which I think everybody sort of knows, the machine that puts every change onto the web. Preview deploy, which that step has actually, with Claude Cowork, the moment I click push on GitHub, it pushes it to Vercel, so there's no preview. You could preview it, but I've just got into that phase now where I know how to describe. So when I started with my prompts, I didn't know any of this language. I didn't quite know what to describe. What it's taught me as an unintentional consequence is now I know exactly how to describe a type of behavior on the website that I want changed. So I'm okay with not having a preview when GitHub just pushes it automatically. So the data layer where the app keeps its facts, mine is Google Sheet. Obviously an AppScript is the free robot that lives inside Google Workspace. AppScript is, again, it's amazing, but I think everybody knows that. Then, so how a change reaches the web. So I obviously describe it, Claude Code builds it, GitHub holds it, Vercel previews it, I test it, then you're supposed to merge. But I've now skipped for the website. I've gotten incredibly particular of knowing what the outcome would look like, having worked back and forth with Claude and how Claude builds and how it responds and its behavior. So essentially the Vercel preview, test and merge is taken away now with the website. So now I've skipped 4, 5 and 6 and automatically it's live because I sort of know what I want.
What's the time frame for all of this?
So it depends. When I wasn't using co-work and I was just using chat and code, it was ages. Because you'd do a chat and then it would push it and then the PR would show up and then you got to review it and things like that. Now, for example, on my facilitation page, and I'll get into this a little bit in a while as well. Now that I've started using Claude Design to design the mock-ups of because Claude Design can do literal website mock-ups that you can download the code for and plug that into CoWork and say, build this as a live page. It saves me so much time because I'll refine in Claude Design, which is a lot faster than the code pack that I would download from Claude Design. I plug straight into the Claude CoWork and it just structures and pushes everything, which is why I've started skipping 4, 5 and 6.
So that's obviously why the tokens were as much as $200 a month at that stage.
I never hit the limit. Now, the only reason why I hit my limit because I was using Fable the whole of last week. So this is pretty and it's new. Love Claude. And then the next thing was, okay, I'm a trainer, I'm a facilitator and a speaker. I have a love for Gen AI and I've already brought into all of my training Gen AI prompts that people can use in breakout groups and things like that. So the next part for me was what I described earlier of I need to capture feedback, but I don't want to miss out on a marketing opportunity. So then I built Reaction, but I just want to make sure that I've shown you the pictures that I wanted to show you already. What was next? So for anybody that doesn't know, obviously when you're adding a new project into AppScript, you've got a script or an HTML. So either it's like a web app or whatever. What I learned really quickly was around run and the functions. So once code is present on that screen, what will happen is all of the different sections, I would imagine, become a function, and you can Claude code, particularly for automated emails. Claude Code, I always get it to build in a test email sequence so that I can test the emails before pushing the code live. So then it will set up a test thing. It will be a test email so I can see what the email looks like first and foremost, and then deploy the script or the web app. One of the things that I was also very mindful of, I learned this really quickly and I haven't made this as a blunder, but in deploy, you've got new deployment and managed deployment. Now, when you update your code, you are managing the deployment. You aren't doing a new deployment because the new deployment essentially then separates it from what it's connected to. So you lose your authorization, you lose all of that sort of stuff. So it was something I just had to be mindful of too, which I learned. So yeah. You've got new deployments and you've got managed deployments within AppScript, and that is sort of really important to know that if you've already got code here that is running, you've given it authorization access, because part of my emails, automated emails that go out, are sent from a different email address than the one that my app script is registered on. So I have two domains. I've got my holding co, which is the On Media Collective, and then the personal brand is Andrew Wallater. So Andrew Wallater was where I set up the team AW that you see when you receive an email from me. And so the app script that I already started building was on the On Media Collective. So I had to go and create that permission. So the app script essentially sends an email like it's Andrew Wallater. And when you give access and things like that, you say, send as me, execute as me, and anyone that gets access, whether it's a web app or whether it's just an email. But the most important part is when you've got all of that code there, you manage deployments and you edit and save the new version. You don't do a new deployment. A new deployment is only the first time you deploy new code within AppScript.
Let me ask you something. The sort of spam filter, especially like Microsoft and stuff like that, because I use a CRM, right? So is this do your emails get caught in those filters quite a lot?
So out of the 24 people that I had at the event, only one got firewalled. When I started,
do a larger test to see.
Exactly. I haven't had anybody else say, Andrew, I can't find the email.
Microsoft is full of shit. I mean,
exactly.
Filters are like
initially, so for my holdco, I have a separate email for finance, so that sort of comes up and it's easy for people to filter. So when I was sending invoices to my previous company that I still sort of do freelance consulting for, it got stuck. But it didn't go into anybody's spam, it was just held in a server until the IT guy clicked release. Because, exactly, yeah, that's Microsoft. So I don't quite know how to get around that, but
I don't know if you can, I mean,
isn't it, wouldn't it,
CRMs like Salesforce or
Yeah.
even Zoho, you have to upload, like there's an added layer of authentication from the domain that you're sending it, and then it's like almost like an updated security certificate.
I think what's worked for me, I think what's worked for me for now is the email address that, while it says Team AW, it still says Andrew Wallater, and in the app script, it is executing as a person.
And it's a verified domain, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that might help. I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm just taking a guess here. And then what I want to show you next. So Reaction was the first time that I had an admin background and created the first sort of password gate. So Reaction was the first time I built an admin console and a front end. And obviously with the admin console, you want to gate it. Again, I'll show you in my app script where passwords and things should go that tells the function or the script to read from a property that is stored in Google and is not on any repo or in any code. So this was the first sort of admin console that I had. So in the back end of Reaction, the overview of like total entries, the surveys, whatever, I could go into events, and that's where I go and create an event. So with Reaction, what I want to do is make it personal so that when anybody scans a QR code, it's their event. So when I set up events, when I say a new event, it asks me for the URL of the client, and it will go and fetch an image. So when the user scans the QR code and it says, "Hey, Andrew," it's an image that they recognize, right? So immediately they feel like it's bespoke. I used to work in 5-star hospitality and for the Burj Al Arab, which is the 7-star hotel in Dubai. So hospitality and like the little finer touches are things that I'm so used to, and I always try and add that into my work. Then I've also, if people want to see a demo of Reaction, obviously it's my IP, and obviously don't want people stealing my idea. So that was also the first niggly part that I did with Reaction, was if somebody just wants a demo, the moment they sign in, they first have to agree to an NDA that gets auto-populated by the app script as well, and we both get a copy with them signing, because Google has got the e-signature tool in their docs and sheets and PDFs. So that was really handy. So that PDF is done, and then you get access to, and you can fully see what Reaction is, right? Okay, then. So if somebody, the thing that I did with Reaction as well is I don't want people, I just want to go, did I skip something now? Go back here. No. Okay. So the thing with Reaction is what I built into the app script is if somebody tries to sign in after 24 hours after the event, they don't have access. So it's literally for 24 hours, you can do that. And it just, you know, when you sort of like subscribe to so many different things and then you don't realize it until it's a little bit too late. I didn't want to have to remember to go and deactivate an event, because essentially things that go up on there, I don't want people to have access to all the time. They go in there, they rate, they can go to the website, and it's done after 24 hours. It just makes it feel a little bit more secure for people. When I say that in a live session, people seem to relax and are more inclined to go and give their information on there. So yeah, that is Reaction. What is next? Okay, so that's the landing page in the demo session, and then I had a video, but this is the wall, it's all fake names, so don't worry. One of the things that I did with Reaction as well is the wall. So when you are adding comments on my training or the session that you just had with me, if you say yes, because obviously everything is following Poppy Act, if you say yes to the live wall, your comments will automatically plug into my website so people can see your comments. So that's an admin piece that AppScript takes care of that I didn't have to worry about. So all the comments that you see when I take you to my website, all the comments that you see are live and plugged in automatically. I haven't added them myself. Yeah. Then...
That's very smart.
Oh, thanks. People say I'm pretty and smart, but not at the same time. Not at the same time. So... So this is now the back end of all my consoles that I have. So when I was building the website, obviously I don't have to, when I want to make a change, I don't constantly want to come back to Claude and go, I want to make this change. Please help me with the change. You know what happens. It goes into memory, it chows tokens, all that stuff. So I thought, while I'm building the website, build an admin. So the little things that need updating, I can do myself. So I built site admin. So if there's any copy in any of the boxes on the website, I can go and change that relatively quickly. I don't need to ask Claude to do it. The Andrew on Podcast is the admin console, which helps with onboarding my guests. And then events is the event console. In the event console, what I built in there as well, I don't know if before I actually go ahead, let me just stick to the presentation. You see ADHD going all over the place. So with Reaction, it was the first app with witnesses. I tried it with a company, one of my clients in Joburg, an NGO, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And what people were doing was they were playing the asterisk game. So on the website I'll show you now live, you click on the asterisk and you can play the asterisk game, which is pretty cool. And the first time I experienced that was, has anybody ever done or waited in line for the 12 Rand Safari tickets? So they've got an aircraft thing that does the same thing. But the first time I actually ever saw this was, have you tried to open a Google Chrome tab with no internet connection? You can play the dinosaur game. Yay. Which that's literally the asterisk game. I just sort of evolved on that. Okay, so that was Reaction. So rate the story so far. Yes, it lands on the sheet. I told you that. So over here, I wrote 5 rules for myself, and I broke 2 within the first few days. Kept one that prevents surprise balls, no live AI calls. Obviously, you'd like to plug AI into everything, because where I am going to plug AI into my big speaker app when eventually I do is to rate uploads as soon as, or as much as possible, when people upload a voice note or a video, just to help with that layer before they get the real person responding to them. So, but you and I were talking about this yesterday. What are the token costs with that? Do you want to, because I don't have an enterprise account, how do you sort of guard that? So there's a lot of questions that I have around there for now. And then the website, the step change. So it was only after Reaction was out, I was like, I hate my website, I hate my website, I hate my website. And then I was like, hang on, I've built Onset and I've built Reaction. Why can't I do my website?
What was that website built on? WordPress?
It was built on WordPress with Elementor, and it was built by other people. Yeah, and bless them, they are amazing. If they see this, whatever, incredible. They helped me do my rebrand last year. It was an incredible journey with them for 6 months, but they were so limited, like they didn't quite understand my vision, and they tried to execute it as best as possible. And bless them, I was initially very proud of what I saw when I saw it for the first time, but because so much had changed in my life in a span of like 5 or 6 months, moving back home, things like that, it just wasn't what I wanted anymore. And I just, again, didn't have the finances to go back to them and go, hey, can you help me build my website? So I was sitting on one Sunday, I was like, hang on a second here. I must be able to do this myself. And that's where I started. So I'll take you on a tour of the website first. The first thing I did with my website was I reverse engineered it. So, sorry. Andrew, let's, this is here, ter.com. Yeah, eventually, told you, pretty smart, not at the same time. So what I did was, before I did anything with the website, I went onto Claude and I said, go and research the website awarding bodies and go and find out what the criteria is so that I can incorporate that into the design. So once Claude Code went to go and research all of like the hero image things, all of that, I then took that into Claude Design to do the mock-up, a functional mock-up, and then I only went into Claude Code to actually build. So it's AWWWARDS. It's like a play on the World Wide Web. I think there's two bodies, but the big one that I went to was a WWWARDS awards, website awards, because I wanted to obviously let people have okay, so that's the one behavior, leaving the website browser window, that will come up, right, to get people back. And then first time here, obviously you want people to have a tour when they're on the website. I'm not going to do the tour with you now, unless you want to show me. So it will just the asterisk game that you can play. A little bit of a vision of, or videos of me, have a wonder, right? And then when you're ready, book me. So it's just sort of like a call to action to help with people if they don't know what they're doing. So I just want to bring the scale down here. What did I do? I didn't do anything. There we go. Like, I just, because I want to just zoom out a little bit. How do I zoom? Can I go this one? There we go. So you can just see things a little bit better. So this is the asterisk game. I'll show you how that works quickly. This is also built. So catch the topics, you play, and honestly, when you click, and then
That's very cute.
right, so you can catch, because I talk about grief a lot, action.
You were running the little asterisks with the mouse.
With the mouse, just clicking it, and then on your phone it has the haptic response as well. So the moment you catch 3 topics, then this is essentially what comes up, and then yeah, it's a way for me to gather data of what people are actually trying to catch, essentially what topics. So it helps me with my design. So if I go back to the site, and then obviously terms and conditions. Over here, what brought you here? Again, it's just like pop-ups and things like that, and you can build your own path of like what's happening. Then these are the topics that I obviously speak about. So if I speak about confidence, and I built a kaleidoscope in. What I say about confidence, podcasts, or any time I've spoken about confidence is aggregated here. This is all manual for now. I'm building the back end of trying to go and aggregate it itself to bring it in. Yeah, it really, really does. Exactly. I mean, hello. Have you met me? Okay, so then that's that. Confidence, and then this is obviously just a little bit about my story. And then that's my catchphrase, confidence is reverse engineered. And then all of the logos that I've worked with. And this is where reaction is plugged in live. So from Mornings with Andrew, that was Annie, you know Annie. So when she commented, it came in here straight away, which I think is pretty cool.
Very nice.
And then everything's a launch away. So that's obviously, again, to the talking notes or to the talking pages. But I think my most proudest thing that I built onto the website, and I don't like to think of it as a page, I like to think of it as more of an art display, is The Secret Life of Rejection. So I believe everything that we've been taught about rejection is fundamentally wrong, and the reward that we've been socially constructed to believe or indoctrined to believe is that to get over it as soon as possible. That's not how it should work. So The Secret Life of Rejection basically starts off with this mask that you've got to break, right? So don't laugh at the graphics, I did this all myself. So you crack it, and you break the mask. And then essentially the asterisk is just sort of hovering there. You can't scroll, you can't do anything else. It's just sort of hanging there, and eventually, don't worry, you're in the right place. The worst thing you can do is rush through it. And so when the asterisk sort of comes to a standstill, then you'll see, if you don't understand how your brain processes rejection, you'll confuse pain for passion and chaos for chemistry. Then you'll get the scroll, and then eventually you can start scrolling. So then everything will reveal, like you're back on the website, but the asterisk stays with you. And part of the TED Talk, part of the session, part of any of the keynotes or any training sessions, what will essentially happen is you don't understand, and that's one of the connections I built, is in the darkness is where you find your value, right? So I try to, in my best way possible, inspired by Storm from X-Men and Wanda from, where's Wanda from? With her chaos magic. She's from Marvel, but it was a series, she was in a couple of movies. Thought, how can I show that if you go through the darkness and you stay in the darkness for a while and it's all structured, you'll eventually start to see your value. And that's how you come out of the light. So you scroll and you finish on value with the screen brightening and things like that. So yeah, that's what I did over there. And then I just love the kaleidoscope, it's a thing. And then what I've built now, so I just wanted to show you, I love the hero image of the kaleidoscope on my speaking screen. That is all built in Claude Design. Claude Design.
Okay, so start to finish this new website.
I'm going to show you now. And also, what I'll show you towards the, I know we've got about 15 minutes left for the live stream, but we'll go on if anybody isn't too worried about time. I'll put that video in there again, and it's got everything over there. What I'm working on at the moment with facilitation is, this is an intro into the facilitation page, so it's just to get a little bit more intel over there. But Claude Design built the neural network that responds to your mouse, which I think is pretty fucking cool.
That's right.
Yeah. And then with your interventions and things. Now, one of the things that I'm doing is with Build the Journey, what tends to happen in the sales process is people have gatekeepers if they want to get me in. So somebody comes onto the website and they're like, oh my God, yes, I want Andrew, but I've got like 6 gatekeepers. The biggest thing that I'm building at the moment is they will input certain information into a model that will pop up, and an automated bespoke 3-page presentation and email bodies to copy and paste for the gatekeepers will be delivered to their email. So if they're doing a business review meeting and they're talking about justifying a budget for a speaker or justifying a budget for the 2-day training session, I've already given them 3 slides to get started with that.
As you mean the gatekeeper on their side.
Correct.
Into their business.
Correct, yes. So Build the Journey is the start of this. And because obviously when I want to go into a business, I don't want to go in for a once-off. So I encourage people to build a journey. So maybe you do a 3-month journey with me and you start off with a keynote. So we pop in the keynote over there, and then you can choose a core one. And then you want to keep it alive. So if you want to add to the core, maybe add a change management, manage a prompt. After the main event, we do some coaching, and then we finish with maybe a capstone. And then it will build the journey for you, and it will send it to you. So from there, we'll move into the justification builder. So that's what that looks like.
That's obviously Claude Design sitting at the back.
Correct.
Again, Google Apps Script.
Correct. Yeah. So Google Apps Script will then obviously collect all of the information, and then I will get a notification that, hey, somebody's built a journey, which is pretty large, which is pretty bigger than somebody just registering to join the collective, for example. And then
what you built is actually incredibly powerful. That sort of journey, that's also powerful, but someone who's in a corporate setting, a champion going back into their business, who gets squashed so quickly by a middle manager who doesn't get it, empowering that person to get through that, to fly your banner on your behalf, is the master stroke.
Thank you. Thank you.
How many without even reporting, but how often I've seen that where someone's enthusiastic and they take you forward, and you follow up with them 4 or 5 weeks later. That guy, no, I didn't go. I told my boss he wasn't interested. And
exactly.
Him to carry your
precisely.
Forward.
Or worse, it's something generic.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
And spoon feeding them. This is what you get. That's huge.
Thank you. And then the coaching thing, this is what I'm currently building at the moment. So my normal coaching packages are there, which is my on-ramp, which is one-on-one, and then for teams. But I'm also building asynchronous coaching for neurodiverse individuals. So asynchronous coaching it's self-paced coaching, but it's not live videos. So somebody will make a video based on a task or an assignment that I give them as their coach. They will upload that video, I get a notification, and I respond in a video as well. So it's not intimidating for anybody. It's something that they can watch in their own time or quiet and things like that. And what that looks like, Claude, again, built the back end so people can see what it looks like, right? Okay, cool. So you can join the waitlist. And then the other thing that I told you about, not the topics, was media. So from media, what I've built in is reaction. So when reaction, there we go. So when reaction feeds into my website, a photo on its way, I haven't uploaded a picture yet. So that's what I did on Monday, that's fine. When reaction feeds into my website, it also feeds future events. So you can always see where I've been, which will always have a picture, and then where I'm going. So on the calendar, so that's tomorrow, but this is fed by reaction because I started in there. And then this gets pushed to the website. And then the media kit over here is when you request access and you fill in your email, and then I get a notification. I go to my console, I give you access, and your access is taken away after 48 hours, but you can download what you need. And there's all my usage policy of like, if you're going to use a photo or if you're going to introduce me or things like that. So that's there.
Google Script, right?
Yes, everything's Google Script. Everything. Everything is in App Script. And then let me just show where I am with the pictures. So that was the admin console. So events are tracked there, site admin, all of that is tracked. And then this is from my events console. So I built that into on my mobile. In the backend events console, people rock up with their PDF boarding card for the event, and I click scan and my camera opens up. My camera reads the QR code, it goes to my events backend, double checks that the person is there, and then marks them as here, present. And then an hour after the event, they get their thank you email, and I haven't interacted with them at all. Yeah. Because this is essentially what Ticketmaster and Quicket, they all have it, but I'm not going to pay an additional like 3% when I've had to pay for like PayFast, whatever. It's just I've built it myself. Yeah. And then also what I built into the event side of things is my flight plan, essentially. So I can keep track of where I am in preparation for the event. And it's on the website. So it will flag risks, it will flag anything that's going into that, my ticket sales. It helps me work on what I have, what I need to get done, and also like breaking even, risks, timeline, all sorts of different stuff. So that is the website, which was 318 commits over 6 weeks with 0 payments. Yeah. And still going, yeah, and still going. And it wasn't every day either. It was like only some days I could work on it because obviously I had other work to do. So,
that's crazy.
Yep. And then with this, my app script, again, emails. I wish I took screenshots of the emails that you get, but it's incredible. So like even my rejection identity assessment and my pre-flight checklist for one of my keynotes, the results that are bespoke are emailed to people managed in app script. Everything. So then over here.
What app scripts do you know in terms of, because it's essentially running as a content management system,
Yeah.
right? So
It's all my permissions when you're signed in.
and you're on the Google One account for that, or
Google Workspace. So that Google Workspace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll show you now exactly with AppScript what you need to be careful of. So the sheet is the server essentially. So I've talked you through the save as not deploy. So CRS is a security thing that I think it double checks, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had to look this up beforehand. It goes to try and fetch data from other websites, and AppScript is able to prevent that from happening. So that's just another security thing. And any secrets live in script properties, which I'll show you now. So script properties would look like this. So whenever you go to your app script, now we started, when I brought up the screen, it was an overview and it was the editor with all the code. The code, or each function within the code, will tell the app script to come to project settings and look at the properties. So this is essentially what the property is. So you type in the property and you copy it from exactly what the code is going to look up, which is like password or question, and then what the value is. And then it picks it up from there and then accesses or runs. So it's essentially protected within my Google account. It's not in any code and it's not in any repo. What else did I do? Okay, so with the website and Claude Code and Cowork, what I wanted to show you over here is the scheduled and the pinned. So scheduled is, so Tend is a psychometric diagnostic tool that I've built based on, I'm certified as a psychometrician, so I'm building my own tool essentially. It's called Tend, which is the Executive Navigator Diagnostic. Then I've got the SLAW voice note map and the website drops check. So in the website drops check, that is a scheduled task that runs every day and checks for any new cool functionalities that websites are doing according to criteria of the awards. It checks a bit of SEO. Is everything tagged the way it's supposed to be tagged? Is there anything that I've got on my website that says, for example, oh, this is an old date, you need to remove it, because you obviously don't want things that are old news for people. And also in AppScript, so those future events that I have in my media, automatically, the moment the day passes, it moves up to done. So I don't have to manage that as well, which I think is pretty cool. And then the artifacts that I've been building are really cool. So the artifacts, I do a lot of voice noting for the book, and because I've mapped my entire book structure, my entire way of writing, every chapter arc, I just go and drop the voice note transcript into the SLAW loop intake. And what it will do is it will help me map, it will help me ask me questions to extract more, and it will all write, manage, and move within my Google Drive, all managed again by AppScripts. And then just a bit of the skills. So for me to keep myself in check, the one thing that I kept on falling into a trap of, and I knew this, but sometimes I would be so in the moment that I was just so stubborn to change it, was long chats in Claude. So I built a skill, I'm happy to share this with you guys afterwards, is chat health. So chat health, I obviously just activate the skill and it just tells me, hey, it's red, amber, or green. This is where we're starting to lose quality of outputs now, and then it recommends the next steps and gives me an MD handover that I can take into a new chat. So because, trust me, even with Opus 4.8 and Fable, that chat gets long, quality output.
Chat from Claude back to you mean?
Yeah, chat health. So in the same chat, I just activate the skill and it scans the whole chat and goes, hey, we're losing context here, change now so you can preserve the quality of the output. Yeah. And then the other one was project planning. And then with our tech director that I used to work with, Matt, he gave me a prompt architect thing. So I just type what I want, so I activate prompt architect, and it architects a beautiful prompt that I take into. All of me, all from Anthropic. Yeah. There. And then just sort of wrap this up quickly.
That's a big thing I've been seeing on social media tons. people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to GitHub and get this thing. It's insane.
Skills that used to sell apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Sell skills.
Or hack my entire fucking.
So chat, I use back and forth if I've just got quick questions. Otherwise, if I activate any thread in Cowork, obviously you're chowing tokens. Slaw.
Worked out what those tokens are. Have you looked at the dashboard at the back?
I have.
Or-
So it's not actually called Cowork. If you keep your chats or your threads in called Cowork Lite, it's really good. I only use Opus for website design. Obviously, don't want to mess anything up on the website, so I'll use Opus 4.8. Anything else, but again, it was literally Fable.
I just moved Alpha onto
Sonnet.
Opus.
Opus, okay, cool,
Yeah,
amazing.
what that does to the tokens.
So Secret Life of Rejection, I've spoken you through. So 1 ticket, 1 attempt. Oh, so now, just for an example, the first cohort of my rejection club that I'm launching, to give you an idea, all of the QR codes that generated a unique number from everybody that attended the Wheels Up event, that became, through AppScripts linking, your entry password for the rejection identity assessment. Because cohorts after the people that attended on the 27th of June will be charged.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys are the first part of the rejection club, which is what I'm building in the back end now. So this was pay fast. I didn't want to go too much into that. So I bought the door check-in for my own event, and on the day I ended up counting the page list because I got so busy that I couldn't scan QR codes. Lesson learned, lesson learned. So how I actually work is I work backwards. So I do a mock-up first. I just want to see, another thing that I'm building at the moment is called Traction, which is essentially Salesforce for one person, a one-man standing business, right? Because obviously I don't want to pay for Salesforce, but I want to see my pipelines and things like that. So, in Claude Design, if you're not familiar with Claude Design, set up your design system. If you set up your design system, it literally, you go into a new thing, you say this design system, type what you want, and it comes out in all of your brand rules, all of your brand colors, everything, every single time. It's insane. You upload pictures so that it can just bring pictures in. Incredible. So set up a design system in Claude. It is phenomenal. So here, this is a mock-up that I'm currently working with. So Traction is my new web app. It's just for me so that it can pull from all of my different sheets and app scripts that I have, and it will be able to give me sort of my sales pipeline, my numbers, where I am with guests on the podcast, any team management over there, what it will look like on the mobile app. And this was done in Claude Design first. This is where I'm at. I haven't started building this yet. But now that Claude Design has built it and each one of these pages is functional, I download the code, take it to Cowork, and it builds it into my website and then just does all the connectors. Yep. Then I think that's it. Yeah, those are all the pictures. Let's see, was there anything else over here? The don'ts. So don't let AI patch fragments. So when you are looking at particular code, and it's a big code, and sometimes Claude will do this, it will say, just change this line. Look for this line and change that line. Don't do it. If you're confident and you're coding and a developer, you know what you're looking for. I don't. So I get Claude to rewrite a whole page of code, even though it's going to cost me more tokens, but I'll rather copy and paste a full new code over the old one than trying to go and look for it in fragments. Don't version by copying folders named v2 final exhibit mine. So when you move folders around that are connected to your thing, that's what happened exactly. Final in caps, and never demo without recording in your pocket. So obviously that's what I've got here. And if you don't know what to use, build it yourself, essentially. And that, Traction Returns, Slaw Book, and then the Rejection Club is what I'm currently busy with. And this talk is becoming a course. So you guys were the first to experience it. So any feedback would be great.
Nice.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 2 views, awesome. How do we stop this? Just stop, huh?
Yeah.
Stop streaming, stop recording, stop streaming.
That's it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
It was so much fun. I think that the